Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
In a world where economic forces and political ambitions are intertwined, every move by Elon Musk becomes an event. And now, in the wake of Tesla's plummeting stock, the world is watching in amazement at a game that may call into question not only financial strategies but the future of America itself. Musk, a man who was once a hero to many Americans, may find himself at a crossroads where every choice he makes will have global repercussions. What has caused this dramatic drop in Tesla's stock? Why is Musk, known for his sweeping ambitions, suddenly trapped in political and economic uncertainty?
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
Imagine Tesla stock is losing almost 6% of its value, and all eyes are on one man, Musk. But is he himself to blame for the situation? Or were his actions a response to external threats, including Trump's hardline policies that many believe undermine the interests of American manufacturers? And so, instead of remaining committed to American business, Musk is beginning to look for new ways to grow in countries that many Americans find surprising. His attention is drawn not only to the markets of China and India, but also to the BRICS countries, a group that is gaining traction in the global marketplace. In particular, Musk is considering setting up new manufacturing facilities in Saudi Arabia, which raises a number of questions. What does this move mean for the future of Tesla? Why is Musk, previously so committed to American interests, now forced to seek protection and support outside the US? And what if this pivot is not just a change in business strategy, but a global political maneuver that will change the balance of power in the world economy in the future? Trump, in protecting his country's interests, feels betrayed. After all, Musk, like other American giants, was supposed to act in the nation's interest, not in favor of other economic blocs. But perhaps this is not just a betrayal, but a legitimate response to pressures that are beginning to mount.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remi Inocencio. Remi, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration, some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
You think about it, what would happen if Musk actually moved to build new manufacturing facilities in the BRICS countries or Saudi Arabia? How would that affect American industry and the future of Tesla? And how will the game change when formerly Western-dominated economies are aligned around new global centers of power? In the next few minutes, we'll try to answer these questions and explore just how decisive this move could be for Musk himself and the world.
So there are a couple of things that might be going on here. So on the one hand, it could be that just at a very basic level, Musk has quickly observed a 40% decline in sales in Tesla in Europe.
Tesla's recent stock plunge was an event that shook global financial markets. Within a few days, the shares of the company, headed by one of the most colorful and controversial businessmen of our time, Elon Musk, lost almost 6% of their value. This was a real blow to investors and attracted the attention of not only economists and analysts, but also politicians, including former US President Donald Trump. Apparently, not only the market downturn and the crisis in the automotive industry are behind this drop, but also Musk's own actions, which have led critics to wonder whether Musk could be the cause of his own decline.
over the last couple of months. But the other thing that this could potentially be is an attempt at readjustment or correction by the Trump administration, in that one of Trump's closest kind of allies and supporters, and someone who's clearly very influential in the administration, is coming out to kind of push back against the recently implemented policies. So I'm thinking, or maybe hopeful is the right word, that this might be a signal that the administration is considering walking back some of those policies.
An important factor in Tesla's stock decline was, of course, the worsening global economic situation. Difficulties with component supplies, rising raw material prices, and volatility in global markets have all undermined Tesla's position. However, there is an opinion that not only the external situation is to blame, but also Musk's personal involvement in political affairs. His frequent attention to issues concerning the White House, his stated ambitions to be chief of staff, and his vision for America's future have caused many critics to argue that Musk is unable to focus on what really matters, running his company. Musk has always been a man who has been pushing horizons and looking for opportunities outside of the United States, but now his preoccupation with political activism has put Tesla in jeopardy.
And police in Italy are investigating possible arson after a fire destroyed more than a dozen Tesla vehicles. Elon Musk is calling the incident at a Rome dealership terrorism. This comes as Tesla has been the target of recent protests around the world.
As Tesla's stock began to plummet, there were other developments that added to the drama of the situation. Protests against Tesla that erupted in various US cities became widespread. Visits of activists to the company's dealerships and demands to Musk to give explanations for his political moves became a daily occurrence. These protests not only worsened Tesla's reputation, but also attracted the attention of the authorities. From an economist's perspective, this phenomenon was part of a larger picture in which Musk's disagreements with the US government and political elites were becoming the cause of growing discontent among consumers and investors. And rising protest sentiment further undermined confidence in the company and its future prospects in the US market.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. There are a lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
All of this has drawn the attention of former President Trump, who has repeatedly voiced his doubts about Musk's actions and his possible political ambitions. Trump, who has always been supportive of American companies, began to loudly proclaim that Musk should get back to the business of his company and stop consuming himself with politics. In a private interview, he admitted that his frustration with Musk has become personal. This man, who was once willing to work with us for the common good, is now looking more and more like a political player who forgets where he came from, Trump said. This criticism of Trump, backed up by his actions to impose new tariffs and protect domestic manufacturers, was taken by many as a signal that Musk may be losing the political battle and that his business and personal reputation are at risk.
Teslas are being torched across the country. Dealerships shot up and set on fire. Spray paint to vandalize and make a statement. People in Southern California are getting notes on their Teslas, calling them complicit Nazis for owning electric cars.
Beyond the political struggle, however, we should not forget the technological backdrop against which all of these events are unfolding. Tesla, as the leading electric car manufacturer, is facing tougher competition. China, as the largest producer of electric cars, is rapidly increasing production, while competitors from Europe, such as Volkswagen and Beam, are also actively strengthening their position in the global market. In this context, Musk, despite his reputation as an innovative leader, finds himself in a situation where his company can no longer deliver the same level of growth that it had a few years ago. In addition, competition in the US domestic market has become tougher. A plethora of new electric car startups, as well as the government's increasing focus on environmental standards and subsidies for electric cars, are creating a challenging situation for Tesla. Meanwhile, social media and various news portals have exploded with rumors regarding Musk's possible ties to government circles in BRICS countries. Talks that Musk could be looking for new partnerships with countries such as India or Saudi Arabia have caused a lot of speculation. A growing number of sources are beginning to indicate that Musk is indeed in talks with leaders of these countries, looking for new investment opportunities and high-tech partnerships. Some claim that Musk is looking to establish new factories and research centers in these countries, which could allow Tesla to remain competitive on the international stage without relying on an increasingly difficult environment in the United States.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
An important question here is, what really matters to Musk, the success of his company or his personal political ambition? It has long been known that Musk is used to thinking big, but his pursuit of new markets and funding in countries like Saudi Arabia could be perceived as a departure from the American identity of a US-based company. This could be a reason for a political conflict with the current authorities, because Musk, like other big businessmen, should, according to Trump, support the America First strategy. Musk, in turn, continues to emphasize that his duty is not only to serve the interests of his country, but also global opportunities for technology and innovation. As a result, this whole situation, which at first glance could seem like just another economic crisis, is turning into a real political scandal that seems to be gaining momentum. Musk's departure towards foreign markets may not just be a businessman's choice, but an important milestone in the history of global economic shifts. The question facing Musk now is how to maintain leadership in the global marketplace without losing his position in the US. When Donald Trump returned to power, he immediately took a tough stance on international trade. His tariff war with China, as well as protecting US manufacturers like Tesla, seemed like logical steps to strengthen the US position on the world stage. Trump believed that only a tough defense of its economic interests would allow it to regain lost jobs and reduce its dependence on foreign manufacturers. However, Trump's actions, at first glance, appeared to be at odds with what seemed right for the country's biggest tech giants. Musk, as one of the brightest of this world, suddenly found himself at the center of an intense political battle.
I mean, the things that he's doing is not trying to make America better. He's ruining our infrastructure, every department in our government. He's ruining, and he's right now destroying our economy. He's taken away all of our allies. We're a pariah in the world.
Trump, a fierce supporter of America First policies, had often expressed support for companies like Tesla, which epitomized the achievements of American industry and innovation. But with each new move by Musk toward international markets, and especially toward the BRICS and Saudi Arabia, Trump increasingly began to feel that his support for the businessman was not properly appreciated. In a recent statement, Trump said Musk had betrayed America, adding that his plan to expand Tesla into BRICS and Arab countries could lead to a loss of the US strategic position on the world stage. His political and economic supporters have begun to endorse this view, arguing that Musk, by abdicating his homeland, would jeopardize not only technological superiority but also national security. Musk, on the other hand, sees nothing surprising in the fact that his interests extend to other countries, especially in a globalized world. He states that nowadays innovation knows no boundaries, and if new markets and opportunities must be sought to remain competitive, it becomes the first priority for businesses. But such a view has not been embraced by Trump. Instead of supporting Musk's decision, as he had in the past, the president criticized him for seeking investments in countries that could weaken the economic strength of the United States. The process of disengagement between Musk and Trump continued when Musk began talking openly about possible deals with Saudi Arabia. Discussions about building new production facilities in the kingdom and possible investments in Tesla caused a storm of emotions in the US. Many began to wonder if Musk had become a hostage to political circumstances. The desire to maintain the US economic position and at the same time fight competitors from China and Europe, which are actively developing their electric car programs, created an increasingly difficult dilemma for Musk. Clearly, his business, though based in America, could face domestic challenges that no one could have predicted.
But they are not ruling out the possibility that this was arson. At the same time, as you just mentioned, there are groups that have been organizing ongoing and peaceful protests at Tesla dealerships around the world. These demonstrations targeting Elon Musk and his affiliation with the Trump administration. Italy's prime minister is said to be close friends with Musk, and there were reports that Teslas have been vandalized in her hometown in Italy. Diane.
Trump saw these changes as more than just finding new sources of profit for Tesla. To him, it seemed like a direct insult. Musk, who used to pride himself on being a symbol of American progress, was now, in Trump's view, turning his back on his home country. This process of weakening ties to the homeland was perceived as a threat to national security, especially in the face of rising global tensions. It was not only about the possible loss of jobs, but also about the security of the high technology that Musk was developing, including the same space programs involving private investors and the US Department of Defense. But Trump's attempts to restrict Musk and other US companies from seeking international partnerships, including with Saudi Arabia and the BRICS countries, may prove pointless in the long run. Even if Trump decides to tighten tariffs and enact new tax measures, all this can only accelerate globalization and open up new opportunities for giants like Tesla. After all, the world is changing, and despite attempts to protect American interests, Musk may find himself benefiting by expanding the company's influence outside the US. Talks of new markets in Asia, as well as Latin America, where Tesla faces less competition, have begun to take a more serious turn.
KTLA's Samantha Cortese joins us live with more on the wave of vandalism in protest of Elon Musk and his role in Washington. Sam?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. The ATF and FBI are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate acts of domestic terrorism surrounding Teslas.
For Musk, entering the BRICS markets was an opportunity to not only maintain his leadership in electric vehicles, but also capitalize on the growing demand in those countries, especially China and India. BRICS, with its huge population and emerging economies, has become attractive to all high-tech companies. Musk, realizing that the future is not only in the US but also in other major markets, is keen to use this moment to strengthen Tesla's position on the international stage. At the same time, he is confident that his company, even if it operates partially outside the US, will continue to create jobs and technological innovations that will benefit everyone. However, not everyone shares this view. Many economists and political analysts believe that Musk's choice could have far-reaching consequences for American industry. In case Tesla starts actively working with BRICS or Saudi Arabia, it could lead to a redistribution of technologies and resources. Musk certainly realizes that such moves will not go unnoticed in Washington, and his actions could spark new waves of protest among Trump supporters. In matters of technology and national security, experts believe Musk should have left a stronger attachment to American politics. However, in the face of stiff competition and increasing pressure on the business, Musk made a decision that he believes will ensure the company's future success while allowing Tesla to remain independent of the political risks associated with domestic changes in the United States.
Hey, Diane, this investigation really just beginning, and one of the key elements will, of course, be the surveillance video. And investigators potentially have a lot of it to work with as they try to figure out what caused this fire. We know that surveillance footage has been turned over, including video from each of the cars, which could prove vital to understanding what happened here, because each vehicle has its own camera system that works even when the car is off. And 16 cars burned in this fire. And right now, investigators don't know what caused it.
Musk has said for good reason that business has no boundaries. However, his push for globalization and market expansion already puts him in a precarious position. Indeed, if Tesla begins to actively cooperate with Saudi Arabia or the BRICS countries, it could mean not only business benefits, but also a change in the company's geopolitical orientation. It is possible that such steps in the future will lead to a decision in Washington at the level of political pressure. Because Musk is not just an entrepreneur, but also a symbol of America's success in the global technological competition. And if Musk does decide to dramatically change course by betting on international markets, he could be the very factor that will affect the future of the entire country.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
When Musk began to actively seek opportunities for cooperation with the BRICS states, he faced two main challenges. First, there is geopolitical instability. China, which has been an important partner for Tesla over the past few years, has seen increased competition from local manufacturers, such as NIO and BYD. This has led to a significant drop in Tesla's profits in the Chinese market. Secondly, Musk has been trapped by the sanctions and political restrictions that accompany his attempts to expand his business in countries like Russia. Despite this, India and Saudi Arabia represent attractive markets for Tesla, with their booming economies and need for clean technology. Musk was certainly interested in these markets, especially given Saudi Arabia's promises to invest in high-tech and green energy.
Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
But Musk faced even bigger challenges along the way. The issue he faced was not only about profit, but also about his personal reputation. As an American businessman who was once a symbol of success and innovation in the United States, Musk risked losing the support of his American supporters if he began to work too closely with regimes that are often criticized for human rights abuses. Questions about political accountability and corporate ethics have arisen, especially after rumors of his possible negotiations with Russia and Saudi Arabia. Such cooperation could have jeopardized Tesla's reputation as an American company, causing a storm of resentment among its US investors and politicians. One of those investors was, of course, Trump, who candidly stated that if Musk was really going to bet on foreign markets, he should reassess his priorities and not forget that he was originally part of American industry.
We begin with the president's trade war escalating tonight. This evening, the retaliation against the United States, Canada, and the European Union responding quickly, just hours after President Trump's 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States.
Still, prospects in emerging markets are not limited to Saudi Arabia. India, with its huge market and growing demand for Fraker-friendly cars, represents a tempting opportunity for Tesla. Musk's brand has become well known in the country, and local authorities have long expressed a willingness to support American technology companies. But the problem is that the country faces numerous challenges such as corruption, political instability, and complicated taxes, making doing business in India not so easy. Despite this, Musk saw huge potential in opening up manufacturing facilities locally. This would allow Tesla to reduce transportation costs and taxes, as well as open up access to a new consumer market.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
Furthermore, it's worth noting that his every move will be scrutinized by both US and international economic analysts. If Tesla starts to actively develop production in BRICS countries or Saudi Arabia, it could affect its value on the stock market. Investors will begin to revise their valuations of the company given the risks associated with political and economic factors that Musk is clearly ignoring. Meanwhile, whether the company will continue to grow or face financial difficulties depends on a variety of factors, such as the development of competitive technologies in other countries and possible trade sanctions. In conclusion, all these circumstances only emphasize the importance of how Musk will manage his global plans in the future. On the one hand, his strategic approach and desire to expand Tesla in international markets seems quite logical given the current global economic trends. On the other hand, His desire to move toward the BRICS and Saudi Arabia could become a serious political threat, not only to his company, but also to the further development of American industry. The question of what will happen to Tesla and Musk remains open, and the future will show which strategy will prove more successful, remaining committed to the US or global expansion into countries with different economic and political conditions.